YouTube, Helsinki Rocks AGF here, and today we're taking a look at my DVD collection part 2. This is my music collection. We'll jump right in here. We have the complete 4 historic Ed Sullivan shows featuring the Beatles. Again, everybody knows the Beatles were famously brought to America to appear on the Ed Sullivan Show, which, made them basically in America, and they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show 4 times, and then in the later years they didn't appear on the show, but would often send special videos of them for the Ed Sullivan Show. So they did keep close ties with him. Well, this is the original release. Later on, they came out with a set which only had the clips of the Beatles from the Ed Sullivan Show. They would basically come on and perform like 4 or 5 songs each time. And that later set just cuts out the other parts of the show and just shows the Beatles performances. I like this release because it does have the complete episodes that they were on, so even the parts that don't feature the Beatles, which is really cool. It's an interesting look at old 60s talk shows. It's a really nice thing to have. We have the Beatles Love, the Cirque du Soleil show. This is actually not the show, this is a documentary about the show, which I forgot to mention. It's called All Together now. We have Beatles driver and road manager Alf Bicknell's personal Beatles diary. I've never watched this, but I think I found it for 50 cents at a Goodwill. Beatles Around the World. I believe this is a documentary from like 1964 or something. As you can see, it was $1 on one of these really low budget release things. The Best of the Johnny Cash TV show. Johnny Cash did have a TV show, as you can see here, 1969 and 1971, where he would bring on performers and from all genres, not just country. He would bring on performers from all genres, and he himself would perform, and his wife and other people. We got people like Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, George Jones, Neil Young, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Loretta Lynn, Chris Christopherson, the Carter Family, the Statler Brothers, Carl Perkins, Ray Charles, Waylon Jennings, Roy Orbison, Merle Haggard, Derek and the Dominoes, like music from wide variety. This is a nice little compilation of some performances. We have the unauthorized biography of Johnny Cash, which is a pretty good documentary. Johnny Cash live at Montreux, 1994. Pretty good set. One of his really first big shows after his comeback. We have the CKY trilogy, which isn't necessarily music related, but they're by the people who did Jackass from before Jackass. It's 1, 2, 3 and documentary How to Rob a House. It doesn't have CKY4, which I need to pick up sometime. It's a pretty cool set though. They're really funny. Kurt Cobain documentary About a Son. Now this is a kind of a cool documentary. It's basically just an audio telling. It's featuring Kurt's own words. They basically compile. How long is this? About an hour and a half, I think. Basically, an hour and 135 minutes. So what's that? A little over 2 hours of audio interviews that they kind of cut together for Kurt to narrate his own life, while on screen they show, historic scenes that things that he's talking about, places he's talking about, and it features like some of the music that inspired him as well. It's a neat little documentary. Dime Vision, Volume 1. The John Entwistle Band. John Entwistle was the bass player for The Who, and he also played with his own band. They play a lot of classic Who songs that were written by Entwistle and some of his own songs, and it's a really good performance. The dude was a crazy wizard on bass. Here we just have a couple of Guitar World instructional DVDs that, like, we have this Michelangelo Badio Learn Shred Guitar with some just, interesting techniques and tips, and then lead guitar tips and tricks DVD. I haven't really watched them. I don't really use them too much, but I could probably use them, to be honest. Wild Blue Angel, Jimi Hendrix live at the Isle of Wight. This was just a few months before he died. August 1970, and he died, I believe, September 1970, so really good performances all around, though. Him, Love Metal Archives Volume 1, they really need to come out with a Volume 2. I shouldn't make a note right here that this doesn't include CDs that come with DVDs, like Green Day's Bullet and a Bible live album does have a DVD of the show, and Johnny Cash's The Man Comes Around album has a DVD with it, like some music videos, and the Him album, Digital Versatile Doom, also comes with a live DVD. Like, I'm not including those because then that means I'd have to go dig through all my albums, which are in storage since I have them all ripped. Those are all in storage, so I'm not showing those off. But we have Him. This is Dark Light Special Edition. It's actually just a CD, but it's a special edition of their Dark Light album. And it's like in a DVD case, so I just stick it on the shelf with my DVDs. For uniformity reasons, it wouldn't fit with my albums where they are. The Pied Piper of Hutsylvania, which is a documentary about the lead singer of Google Bordello, Eugene Hutz. Michael Jackson's #1 videos. Oh, and there's one I'm pretty sure you can see his penis in. Kurt and Courtney, a film by Nick Broomfield. Classic album, John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band live piece in Toronto '69. This is a different mix than what's on the album because they couldn't get the rights to the album version. But it features performances by Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, and the majority of it is the John Lennon and Plastic Ono Band. Pretty cool little performance here. Obviously there's Yoko over some of the songs, but all in all it's a neat little historical thing. Here we go. Classic albums, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, which is a fantastic album, one of my favorite albums of all time. His debut solo album, he did release some solo singles beforehand, but just a fantastic album with really great insight into its recording and production. Paul McCartney in Red Square, which is part documentary, part performance video. Paul McCartney, so he plays Paul McCartney songs, Wings songs, and of course Beatles songs. Metallica, Some Kind of Monster, the documentary about the making of Saint Anger and leading up to that and what they went through. It's a pretty good little film, but not a great album, Saint Anger. Metallica, Cliff 'Em All, which is basically bootlegs of shows they played with Cliff Burton, an awesome bass player, died tragically way too young on the Master of Puppets tour, featuring some awesome performances from early Metallica with him and, home footage and stuff. Really cool set. Speaking of Metallica, I really need to get the S&M DVD. And I think there's another one that I don't remember what it is that I need to get. I need to get Through the Never, a couple other things. Then we have the Big Four live, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax live in Sofia, Bulgaria. It's got Disc 1 features all 3 sets of Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. The Megadeth set's pretty cool. The Anthrax set's cool. I'm not big into Slayer. The Metallica set's awesome, especially when they play Am I Evil all together live. This actually came with my Kurt Cobain signature Jaguar when I bought it from American Music Supply. This is Nirvana live at the Paramount. It was released on DVD, and it was the only Nirvana concert filmed on 35mm film. So it is available on Blu-ray, but unfortunately the Blu-ray has really bad sync problems that the manufacturer never acknowledged or has not fixed, to my knowledge anyway. But this is a really fantastic show filmed on Halloween of 1991, just about the time Nirvana was starting to get big. I believe originally they were supposed to be the opening act for this show, and then they kind of got big like overnight, and then they actually got switched to being the main act. It features classic songs all the way around. It's a really great show. Really great live versions of Aneurysm. Just a really cool show. Really glad to have it on DVD. And I like these cases. They're like a lot of times they use for music. They're not full-size DVDs, but they're bigger than CD cases. And it actually has some really cool album art. Because like I said, it was filmed on Halloween. It's got the Nirvana smiley face inside of a pumpkin in orange instead of yellow. And then we have Nirvana Live and Loud. This was a horrible cover. This was a show they did for MTV right after In Utero came out, which was their final album. And it's a pretty solid performance. It's not one of their best live shows. I have a gigantic collection of Nirvana bootleg shows. Not one of their best shows, but not one of their worst. weird. It's like a low production release DVD. Like they just put like 2 screenshots on the back. But I'm really glad to have it because it is a solid show and it has a lot of really cool extras. Has the complete. I don't know if it's the complete, but it has a bunch of live and loud rehearsals. It has the heart-shaped box original video and the director's cut video. It has the 3 performances of Rape Me, Pin Royalty, and Drain You live in Paris, France on a TV show. And the Drain You performance is cool because I'm sure you've seen it if you're a Nirvana fan. His guitar, Kurt's guitar, stops working, and at this time they have Pat Smear from the Germs also on guitar. Kurt's guitar stops working, and he kind of like throws it off, and then he starts singing like just by himself, and he like kind of throws it the guitar. It's pretty cool. He starts singing on his own. It's weird to see him kind of just holding the microphone like singing. It's really cool. They also have a couple of other TV shows from Europe performances, and they have the only 3 professionally shot clips from Nirvana's last ever show, March 1st, 1994, Munich, Germany. They have Radio Friendly Unit Shifter, My Best Friend's Girl, which is a cover of a Car song, and Drain You. It's a pretty good set, all in all. Nirvana live at Reading. This is their biggest show from 1992, their big comeback show, as you would say. A really good show all the way around. They play some cool songs. They don't always play like Lounge Act, and the live debut of All Apologies. A couple of other songs that ended up being on In Utero, like Tourette's, and it's got Dumb. The Money Will Roll Right In, which is a Fang cover. A really good show. Nirvana MTV Unplugged in New York, which is a fantastic show and a fantastic live album, and I'm really glad they finally came out with this on DVD a few years ago. It includes the original MTV version, which omits 3 or 4 songs, which I don't know why you'd want to watch that version, because other than the fact that it cuts out like 3 songs, it has the full unedited show, which includes the crowd banner at the beginning and end. MTV Bear Witness, which was like a little documentary, and the rehearsals for Come As You Are, Polly, Plateau, The Man Who Sold the World, and Penny Royalty. Classic albums, Nirvana's Nevermind. It doesn't shed a whole lot of light if you're a fan of Nirvana like I am and you really dig deep. But it's still a cool thing to watch, and it talks a lot about the album and leading up to it. And Nirvana Live Tonight sold out, which was actually a project Kurt Cobain himself had planned before his death. And after he died, they'd started working on it, and after he died, they kind of just left it and went back a few years later and just basically put some finishing touches on it and released it as Kurt had it. So it's basically like clips, and it's like basically a big montage movie, kind of. Briefly, in a way, talking about the history of the band and random stuff, and random performances and interviews and clips all thrown in. It's a pretty cool little set. Les Paul Chasing Sound, just a documentary about Les Paul, the band who basically invented the modern electric guitar and amplifier system and multi-track recording, and Les Paul's a legend. We have Tenacious D, The Complete Masterworks 1 and 2. Which I believe has all of, it says it concert, it's got a bunch of HBO episodes, short films, Tenacious D in the studios, TV appearances, music videos, Tenacious D documentary, another concert, another documentary. These were $1, so I couldn't pass them up. And then ending off the music video here, we have the Vans Warped Tour Live 2002 compilation. Warped Tour used to be really cool when it featured a lot of like actual punk bands. Anymore, Warped Tour has a few good punk bands like Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish, and Long Way have been on there before. But unfortunately, most Warped Tour nowadays is just like screamo, metalcore. Well, that's not my music at all. Like, it's kind of just junk music, really. I don't like it at all, and it's turned into this thing that's so much different than what it originally was. It would be like if they did a Woodstock now, but like everyone was up there like playing songs about like going to war and like killing dudes for fun. And like bathing in their blood and stuff, because Woodstock was originally about peace, and Warped Tour, was a punk festival, and now it's just like a poser metal festival, I guess. Every now and then some cool punk bands that play, but for the most part, it's a lost thing, and this just perfectly sums it up when you have bands like Guttermouth and Flogging Molly and Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish and Alkaline Trio, Bad Religion, and just so many awesome bands. It really shows you how far Warped Tour has fallen. That's it for the music, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time.